Hey everyone, Max at 343 Labs here. We're a music production school based in New York City, Berlin, and online. And today I'd like to show you a clip by John Selway and Christian Smith, where they share their creative process in collaborating on a techno track, and this is part 1. Now this clip is taken from 343 TV, which airs several times per week right here on our YouTube channel. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get into it.
So, and for me, I've always had this idea with techno, or I mean, it can be house too, but anything where there's like hypnotic repetitive elements, like if you can make a pattern, a melody or a rhythm or a noise or a sample, whatever it is, that you can repeat and loop and you can maintain energy and interest without changing it, that you're on the right track. I would say. So what have you got in mind? Let's start with what idea have you got for our first hook?
Well, you had that synth open from our last track in the project, right?
Yeah,
I think I think that was a I think that's a that's a Yuhi synth, no?
No, this one is Arturia's SEM.
Okay,
so it's based on the Oberheim.
Another great synth. You know, I love Arturia. I'm a huge Arturia fan. But I'm not here to endorse them. I'm here to make hooks with
I don't
you.
know. They sponsor us, so yeah, we
okay.
Arturia.
Great. Yeah. But yeah, so I think that sound happens to be really nice as well. So let's try to come up with a programming of a hook, a bass line, or a synth line that can be one of the main parts of a track that carries the track.
Yeah.
So
what would you do first? I'm going to try to be your hands.
I would first we need to decide what note we want to start on, right? I mean, like, okay. So I don't know.
So when sometimes I do it just like playing around on a keyboard, and like, okay, that sounds too flabby, right?
A bit higher than high. Yeah. Any of those, and play a few notes. Just. And
you can be so random. Actually, some of you probably watched Abe's stream, and you'll see sometimes when he comes up with the part, he just basically fools around sort of haphazardly, kind of half paying attention to what he's doing, and comes up with something cool. Like I just happened to randomly play, literally, I didn't even think about it. I just played those 3 notes, and that actually as a melody sounds pretty cool.
It does. Also, one thing you guys might not know, but the biggest acid tracks of all time, basically all of the ones from the 80s, all of those bass lines were random
so
sequences.
Many were randomized, yeah. Not all of them, but some of them, many of the best ones were actually
random.
Randomly created, yeah.
I would say 99%, you know, it's like, it's pretty crazy. So if you do, I wouldn't say that's the best way to going about creating a bass line is by doing it randomly.
Yeah, like, are you going to be melodic? Do you want to kind of tell a musical story, or are you making, you know, we tend towards melodic parts. Sometimes we'll throw in noisy stuff and textures and rumbly basses and things like that, or like impact percussion sounds that are not necessarily tuned. But I would say you and I mostly have things are in tune and melodically sort of together. So
okay, so
I'm just going to stick with those 3 notes.
Yeah, and draw 3 notes in, and then we loop them, and then we move them around, and we see what we come up with.
So that's another thing I was going to ask you. Like when you're working, do you tend to draw the notes in, or do you play them?
Either way. I mean, right now I don't have a keyboard in front of me, so you have to do.
I know.
I have to. You have to do the honors.
Okay, so there, you know, I'm going by ear here. Those are the notes, right?
Yes.
So now I didn't even think of rhythm there. I know it's not going to be right yet, but let me get rid of the other pattern. Sorry. All right, 2 square, right?
Yeah, we
want syncopated.
Well, we always like a bit of groove, right? And this is.
I mean, it's a groove, but it's very square groove. Some people like that. Some people like that kind of tight on the 8th notes in the kick drum, in the chord notes.
Very, very true, but you know, funk is always nice.
We need syncopation. Maybe. I mean, that could be a 2-beat loop, or I could repeat that twice in a bar. That's
Could
a
be
little more
acid.
pumping, a
This
little more,
could- yes.
a little more driving. I was thinking also leaving a little space.
I
for
like
something
that
else.
more.
Yeah, that's definitely more Smith and Selway style.
Then why don't you copy this over, and we change the end. So we make the sequence twice as long as it is now.
Duplicate.
Yes. And then we add another note at the end for some.
Or
Exactly. So it's something, something subtle like that makes a big difference. I feel,
so we got a question. Functor, nice name. Functor asks, do you think a hook is something that only appears occasionally in a track? That's thinking more like a pop song, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're writing a song, a lot of times like a melodic hook will be a phrase that's repeated that catches your ear.
In techno tracks, hooks are there most of the time, I would say.
Yeah,
Whether-
again, let's say you're doing more kind of commercial techno crossover stuff and you put a vocal on top. That could be the hook, right?
That's true.
So mainly, I guess we're talking about musical, like what elements of techno that are like more rhythmically based, more repetitive, that can be thought of as hooks, that are like the strong idea in the track, that everything is based around.
Okay, now we have this. Let's
Do you like that, or
try,
do you like it more syncopated?
to be completely honest, I'm not crazy about this. It works, but I'm not crazy about it. So
Is
why
it the
don't we
sound?
can we try playing this one in a chord? Three
Yeah.
notes.
Sure.
Let's try doing
All right.
this a bit.
This
bit
synth is
more,
monophonic, so let's find another synth, because
Okay.
if I can just copy this over. What should we use? This is always a thing. We're like, what sound do we want? What do you have in mind for a sound? Something similar but poly?
Yeah. What about the Prophet 5
Actually, now that I
or
recall,
the Jupiter, or
we can actually.
if we
Okay,
can make
I'm
this one,
forgetting. I should know this right off the bat, but like, even though this is traditionally, the Oberheim SEM is a mono synth, it can have polyphonic voices. So actually, it is polyphonic. So let's try.
Okay, good.
That'll save us some time. So now it's not going to be just a bass line anymore. There's two ways to go about this. I could build up the chords myself and add notes as a triad. I could also use technology and just use like a MIDI chord, a MIDI effect to make a chord. What would you do if you wanted to do chord stabs?
Do both. Let's do both.
Yeah. All right.
This
this
is like,
is the easy way and the kind of the classic parallel chords thing is you just, in live, you take the chord plug in and you build up the notes of the chord. You can also go into the presets. Let's do minor. Actually, no, I'll just do it. So I have 3 semitones up and 7 semitones up. Oh, it's jazzy. Why?
or Detroity. Either way you look at it, right?
Right.
It's
Well,
like-
what happened is this sound already it's got the oscillators tuned 7 semitones apart, so it's playing a fifth. So I just made a big, like, stacked, more complex chord by playing 3 notes. Let's just try. Yeah, I don't know.
That's a bit too thick.
Now we've got. Interesting. I totally didn't mean for that to happen, but I like it. What do you think?
I'm not crazy about it. I don't know. It's like
You're gonna be hard on me today.
yeah, I don't know. And for some reason, I'm also not into the sequence.
Well, we liked it at first.
I know. Let's try to come up with a more
Let's try another one.
A more pleasing sequence, and
Okay. All right.
but with something chordy that we can work with and do something that we would actually use in a track of ours. I like this.
So more
already,
simple.
a lot.
Just one chord. And again,
Boom,
I didn't
boom.
think hard about what notes I was playing. I just put in a one minor triad, which sounds like more. It sounds like more than a triad because of the synth patch.
But
has
we
a
need
fifth on top.
we need more than that. We need boom, boom, boom.
Wait, you got a
add
rhythm
two
for
more.
me?
Add 2 more. Yes, a little bit further to the right. That's too close. Add the second one. Push it to the right a little bit. Maybe a little bit further even.
Wait, it's going to be
good.
You want to swing it? Because if I move it over another 16th notes, it's going to be on the kick drum.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
This is good. And what I would do here, I know this is mostly a hook thing.
Yeah.
What I would do here, which is super important, is to put a delay on this. If you don't have too many notes playing, you have more space, and you will see if you put like a nice ping pong delay on this, it'll open the sound right up. And
or a Sound Toys Echo Boy.
Yeah, sure. And it'll make it much bigger, you know. So in this, you hear everybody?
I'm just going through presets until I hear something I like.
Okay.
See, this would be good if it was quantized.
Yeah, but I'm never crazy about the presets. You always need to tune these a little bit, you know?
Oh, I need the, like, why isn't it?
That's too fast, the one. It needs to be a quick one. That's a nice one. But turn the feedback down a little bit.
Yeah.
On the... You hear everybody? This is kind of like a groove a la chord by our Bricker. That came out on Transomat, you know, like 20 years ago.
Let's be honest, it's not the most original, never been done before techno idea. I have to say, nowadays it's hard to come up with, because I like this quote from something that Jeff Mills said a long time ago about how techno should sound like something new that you've never heard before. Like, and it's hard to do that.
It's impossible. But you know what's funny? It's like, you and I, we've been around so long, so we've heard. I don't want to say we've heard it all, but you know, basically the chord that we heard now, we heard many times before already.
Yeah.
You know, but a kid that's been making music for 2 years hasn't.
Sure.
So you know, it all depends. You know, it's
or has heard it and isn't exactly sure how to get there.
I think the key is to do something that you like and that you're happy with. Easy as that. You know, everything has been done before. Everything has been done before. Everything. That's a fact. You know.
This is another thing to think about, is how the sound moves. That's part of it.
Okay, why don't we try?
Yeah.
Why don't you copy this this bassline a few times over and draw in a chord progression so we can.
I see. We can show
the people
rhythm to chord progression. But like, is this a hook?
I would say so because it carries the track, right?
But,
I mean, it's the main thing in the track, and especially if this chord progresses, it draws more attention to itself as well, and it breaks off the monotony.
Okay.
I feel. I don't know.
So I think I'm asking you because, again, like, people think of hooks as usually an individual, like a vocal or one thing that happens occasionally that catches your ear. We're kind of broadening the definition of what a hook is to fit what you do to make instrumental techno, I think.
It really depends. And right now I'm thinking, you know, like I've got the power.
That's a hook.
That's a huge hook.
Well, and just the sample, I got the power, is a hook. Yes, right. So that's the kind of hook that most people are familiar with. We're thinking about it in a little bit of a different way. All right. So I just did what Christian asked. I duplicated to make an 8-bar clip, and now we're going to transpose the chords up and down to create a progression, or modify them in some way. Like, No, that's too trancy, old school.
You're always yes, exactly.
You like the parallel chords, like
Yeah, because you know what?
uh-huh.
One thing I appreciate you. One thing I appreciate about you is what I do not appreciate about you at the same time. You're very musical, and you always try to move around a few things. But at the end of the day, if you move everything, it's much more audible and clear. I feel,
I agree.
But it can work either way, of course.
It's possible. It's a stylistic choice whether you're going to be more sophisticated in terms of harmony and melody. It kind of
Exactly.
With techno, it usually mostly, not always, but mostly works more easily or better, or more effectively when it's simple. Like the musical part of it is simple, but the sounds can be complex. Max has a question. Exactly. Max Wild, fearless leader. This sounds quite melodic with the chords and pitches. Can you make hooks, say, in minimal techno where they're just drums and bass?
Okay, you know what? I'm with you, Max. So now that we've shown this melodic thing, let's move on to a new hook. How about
Sure?
How do you feel about that?
Well, let's finish the progression and then.
Okay, that's cool.
That'll be the one thing that we do. All right. So, all right, and we'll see. And again, I'm letting Christian really take the driver's seat in terms of musical direction here. Where do you hear it changing?
Up.
When? Like,
I hear it progressing up and
like here or here?
Here. The second part.
So should we go up a fourth, up a fifth, up a whole step?
Let's see.
It's pleasant. It's kind of like la la la.
The second one, the second half of that should go down, put lower. Yes, that's it.
It's nice.
That's too low. That's too low. It needs to be something.
But this is okay. Come on, this is a cliche progression in techno. It's been done a million times. All of this has actually. But this is a little more Detroit style now, with just that change in the note, right?
John, yes, but John, you know what? When you say something has been done a million of times, most of the producers out there will think, oh, this is pretty new,
How do you like it lower? Too dark? I'm gonna have to change the sound a little bit. It sounds a little less fluffy and a little more serious an octave lower, doesn't it?
No, but we'll make something tougher now. So, let's...
We'll just keep that at 4 bars. Or just have it not repeat for the second half, which is a nice way of creating an A-B variation.
Yes.
It's funny, everything we've done together on my live stream has been very Detroity for the most part. This seems to be where we want to be right now.
That's funny because my solo tracks lately have been more like 137 BPM drum techno.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just I'm very discouraged with this melodic techno that's coming out right now on Beatport and many of these big labels. It's just
what we're doing here is different.
Well, you say something has been done millions of times before, this chord progression, but compared to what you hear in those melodic techno tracks, this is heaven. It's really really bad disposable techno. So it's because of that I've been going back to my roots and doing more harder stuff, and I like it. So like I said earlier, you just got to do what makes you happy and never try to make other people happy. You got to make yourself happy first.
Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget, 343 TV goes live right here on our YouTube channel several days per week. And if you want to take a course with us or just join our community, you can find more information at 343labs.com or 343labs.de for our German website. See you next time.